A big situation is happening right now with Charlotte Flair, so we'll see what went wrong there. We'll also see what's going on with Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and much more. Starting things off with Charlotte Flair and that entire heated situation. What's happening there and what went wrong? Charlotte Flair has been out of action since December 2023, where live on Smackdown, Charlotte had completely destroyed her knee in the middle of a match. Charlotte needed immediate knee surgery and began her long journey to recovery. Charlotte would end up missing the entirety of 2024, and in the opening weeks of 2025, word and buzz started going around that Charlotte's return was imminent. Then, with a few weeks to go before the Royal Rumble, Charlotte Flair vignettes started to finally air on SmackDown, with the final one revealing that Charlotte will be returning during Royal Rumble match itself. So we get to the Royal Rumble, and Charlotte Flair joins the match at number 27. Charlotte Flair makes it down to the final two with Roxanne Perez, and then ultimately wins the match and outlasts Roxanne Perez. And the fan reception to Charlotte Flair's second Royal Rumble win was not the strongest. When it came to Jay, it felt like fans were split 50-50 on that result, but when it came to Charlotte Flair, it felt like the reaction was nearly 75% negative. The fans were just not happy with that result. And in this case, the fans are not being fickle, they're kind of right. Charlotte Flair winning the 2025 Women's Royal Rumble was a questionable decision and not really necessary. Nothing really comes out of Charlotte Flair winning the Royal Rumble. She's a well-established superstar, a veteran, already a future member of the Hall of Fame, a 14-time former world champion. So how desperately did she need this second Royal Rumble victory on her already loaded career stat sheet? Sure, she hasn't been seen in a long time, but she's still a former 14-time world champion. So there are some fans out there that have Charlotte Flair world champion fatigue. So for Charlotte to come back, instantly skip the line, and get a promised world title match at WrestleMania, all within 10 minutes of returning, that's going to understandably turn some fans off and make them go against Charlotte Flair rather than cheering for her. It's sort of like the exact opposite of what we saw happen with the Men's Royal Rumble. John Cena loses the Royal Rumble, and it sort of makes Cena into this little sympathetic figure because you as the viewer know how bad Cena wanted it and what it meant to him. So to see him struggle and lose, it makes you feel for him and makes you want to continue to root for him on his climb back up to the top. We don't really get that with Charlotte Flair. She just came back, didn't really go on a journey, didn't struggle, just had the WrestleMania world title match waiting there for her the second she got back, and that bothers some fans. Some fans understand that as the machine forcing someone down their throats, and when that happens, the audience usually rejects whoever it is the company is force-feeding them. It happened in the early 2010s with John Cena, it happened in the mid-2010s with Roman Reigns, and it appears to be happening now with Charlotte Flair. And in all of these three cases, it was not the talent's fault at all, not one bit. The blame of the fan backlash against those three should be on the questionable writing and creative decisions. Fans were annoyed when John Cena was written to be this unbeatable superhero that never struggled and never took any losses. Same exact situation with the big dog version of Roman Reigns. WWE made that character out to be this unbeatable force that never took any losses and was easily defeating guys like Triple H, The Undertaker, Brock Lesnar, and more without even breaking a sweat. So when WWE uses that formula, it can sometimes lead to the crowd turning on the talent because they just don't want to be force-fed in that fashion. And it looks like that's what's developing with Charlotte Flair right now in current day. On the Raw after Royal Rumble, Charlotte Flair was greeted to a full negative reaction from the Cleveland crowd. Charlotte was there trying to be open about her knee injury, how she thought she would never wrestle again, how she missed and loved everyone, and they still weren't having it and booed her out of the building. And then when Rhea Ripley came out, the Raw Cleveland crowd stood completely behind Rhea Ripley over Charlotte Flair. Of course, it's a small sample size. Will every crowd react to Charlotte Flair the same way Cleveland did? We have to wait and get a bigger sample size to see how the live crowds continue to react to Charlotte. Charlotte did appear the following night on NXT and did get a much more positive reaction than Raw. But the real ultimate test for how the live fans feel about Charlotte Flair will be when Charlotte is in the ring on SmackDown, exchanging words with Tiffany Stratton. That's the real deciding factor right there. Will the fans side with Charlotte Flair or will they stay behind Tiffany Stratton? We'll see, but it certainly looks like Tiffany will have more fans backing her. So it's a weird move to have Charlotte Flair win the Royal Rumble. They still could have had Tiffany versus Charlotte take place at WrestleMania with someone else winning the Women's Royal Rumble. Give that Rumble win to someone else that needs the momentum, all while Charlotte still gets her WrestleMania World title match, so everyone still wins there in that example. Again, it's sort of like the Men's Rumble situation. John Cena is still getting his WrestleMania World title match, but Jay gets the Royal Rumble win on his career stat sheet, which he clearly benefits from more than Cena getting another Rumble win. So it's just weird that they implemented that mentality to the Men's Rumble, but tossed that mentality out for the Women's Royal Rumble. Another big question to ask here that will help determine if Charlotte's Rumble win was a good or bad idea is to question how is WWE looking to portray Charlotte's character. If they were looking to make her comeback as a monster heel, then the writing was immaculate. But if their intention was for her to be a big babyface and go on this entire post-injury journey back to the top, then yeah, that's when you got to question the decision making. And who knows, maybe they look back at 2023 and realize that this similar direction worked for Cody Rhodes. Cody returned from the torn pec in the 2023 Royal Rumble, won the Rumble, and had all the fans behind him for him to make his big comeback off that injury. So you gotta wonder if that's what WWE had in mind. Were they thinking that Charlotte would go down that similar path as 2023 Cody Rhodes and get that reception and fan treatment coming back from injury? It's just hard to tell what they were thinking, and it's still very early on the road to WrestleMania. So hopefully we get to see their vision get more fleshed out here as the weeks go on. You can't help but feel bad for Charlotte Flair as a person, because this is a woman that had her knee absolutely destroyed in December 2023. Not just any little torn ACL. This was a complete destruction of the knee, where there were doubts there for a bit if Charlotte would ever be able to wrestle again. She kept fighting, kept training, kept grinding, and actually found her way to get medical clearance to compete. So the fact that she's even wrestling right now is a miracle within itself. And she comes back for her very first Raw appearance in such a long time, and she's getting booed out of the building all while she's talking about her near career-ending injury. That's tough, and you do feel for her, but again, it's not Charlotte's fault. It all comes down to that decision of having her win the Royal Rumble. Had Charlotte lost the Royal Rumble, chances are she gets a more positive reception from the live fans on Raw. So that's what's going on there. Similar to how WWE had to pivot last year due to the fans' reaction towards The Rock, it looks like they could be finding themselves in a similar situation with Charlotte Flair this year around. Can't have Charlotte speaking as a babyface if she's getting massively booed out of arenas. So it looks like the live crowds will play a role in which version of Charlotte Flair we end up seeing for the remainder of the road to WrestleMania. If they're booing her, chances are that'll force their hand to make Charlotte Flair fully heel. And what happens if Charlotte Flair puts a premature end to Tiffany's title reign and takes the title from her at WrestleMania 41? Would the fans lose their minds even more? It's just so unfortunate because despite how people feel about Charlotte Flair, she did have a good potential babyface story there. This woman beat the odds going against a near career-ending injury. She had been fully off television since December 2023, so to come back after all that time to overcome that nightmarish injury, she should have had a great and positive reception to celebrate her return. But again, it's not Charlotte's fault. It all comes down to the writing and decision making to make her the Royal Rumble winner on her first night back. That's just something that's going to turn fans off right away. And like we mentioned before, the 2023 Cody Rhodes comparison. Cody returned off an injury and won the Royal Rumble, so why wasn't he booed and had the fans turn on him? It's most likely due to the fact that Cody was still very much the underdog and was still chasing his very first world title, and the fans really wanted to see that story. In Charlotte's case, she's chasing her 15th world title, so no real underdog narrative there to get behind. So we'll see how this situation continues to unfold, but it does look like the fan reactions over the next few weeks will definitely play a role in the direction that WWE goes with Charlotte's character. Now, let's get into the worries with Roman Reigns and his status. Roman came up short in the Royal Rumble after being eliminated by CM Punk. Roman was distracted with Seth Rollins, which opened the door for Punk to toss them both out of the match. We saw Roman exchanging some words with Punk on the outside of the ring, seeming like Roman felt a bit betrayed by Punk since they did come together and help each other back at Survivor Series. But while Roman was talking to Punk, Seth Rollins hit Roman with a massive double leg curb stomp Well, a few nights later on Raw, Michael Cole announced that Roman Reigns is hurt and will be out of action indefinitely. This caused fans to panic and wonder what was wrong with Roman, but according to all the recent reports, Roman Reigns is not actually hurt. It is just a storyline-related injury to help explain why Roman Reigns will go missing from television for a few weeks here. So he's still healthy and still expected to be in a WrestleMania match. Roman's WrestleMania match has reportedly been altered again. It went from a singles match with Solo to a singles match with Punk to now a rumored triple threat match against Seth and Punk. So that Royal Rumble exchange between Punk, Roman, and Seth looks like it was intended to start up their WrestleMania program with each other. Doesn't seem like anything will be on the line in that match, but it will be a match that includes a lot of long-time hatred for sure.
But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.